Well, it finally happened. The first just standing around in the sunburn happened to my face and arms yesterday, which means we are officially in summer. Insert crowd noise of everyone applauding.
I've been officially in summer since last week. 90 fucking degree weather.
Actually, you know what? Change that to booing. Start with clapping when I'm... And then everyone, the one person's like, boo, fuck you! And then everyone turns into crazy... Oh, tomatoes!
Boo,
Oh.
you suck. Boo, you suck.
And then we'll just do all that in post. And by we, I mean you, because you're our editor.
Nah, I'm not going to remember that.
Well, welcome to episode 45 of the Too Bad We Didn't Get Into Cars podcast, and the 1st of June, which is officially...
June.
At least as far as recording goes.
June.
It's the first official summer month. My name is Nick Scarpin Auto, and I'm a sweaty motherfucker.
And I'm David Kapuja Cars, and I'm not as sweaty, but I will be later.
Yeah, because he's got to go to work after this. But first, we got to talk about some stuff. Specifically, we got to talk about all the new games that were announced and talked about at not E3 this year. Because since E3 has gone and died and lived its life, plenty of other ways of talking about game trailers have emerged from the ashes, and Jeff Keighley will always be there to dig up the graves of whatever studios want to make announcements. So yeah, man, do you have any trailers that really stood out to you that were announced this past weekend?
Well, when the Xbox One was going on, we were mastering our new EP. Check it out. It's coming out soon. And other friend Josh tried to call me.
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, check out the Xbox showcase. It's pretty good." So I looked it up, and I saw Gears of War 6 trending. I said, "Oh, shit." And boy, when I saw that they're doing a Gears prequel with Marcus and Dom again,
Yeah.
I moaned at least this loud. Oh! Actually, no, I didn't. Because
It was louder.
we were in public.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like trying to watch a trailer without any sound. And I
Look
was
at
like,
that fucking waveform, bro. that shit's so fat right now.
I didn't think it would be possible to be hyped for a game again.
Yeah.
After Tears of the Kingdom, I thought I was done.
It feels kind of weird to be in 2024 and then when the game comes out, most likely 2026. And which will be the 20-year anniversary of Gears, by the way. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Didn't even put that together. It feels weird getting a new Gears game with Marcus and Dom 20 years after the first game came out.
15 years after Dom died. It's been 15
Yeah.
years, man.
Yeah, dude. I didn't watch any of that Xbox showcase. I heard there were some cool things, but the only thing that matters to me is the Gears E-Day trailer because I mean, obviously, we've talked about it before on this very podcast. Gears of War is a very formative series for us. And so to be getting a new game after this long featuring the characters that we know and love, and in the trailer it's getting to see them alongside the Mad World cover by Gary Jules again. That shit was hype. I mean, it's really just Marcus fending off a single locust, grunt. But then you see Dom grab his hand as he falls into the earth below the crater. Spoilers, I guess. Fucking watch the trailer.
Oh, son of a bitch. And it's like, Doom, I might get on sale.
The Dark Ages?
Yeah.
Well, because I know Doom Eternal you have your qualms with.
Yeah, and everyone's like, Mick Gordon, I wish you would come back. It's like, yeah, like he's the only dude who can write Gent. You fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I'm excited, given the fact that it's like, do you get sent to the Middle Ages at the end of Doom Eternal, or is this just...
No, that's a prequel. It takes place before the 2016 one.
I guess that makes sense, because it is medieval.
More prequels.
More prequels.
Even more.
Yeah, it looks sick. You get a shield that you can Captain America throw, and you get a mace, like a flail that you can throw, and there's a dragon, there's a hell dragon that you can ride, and they showed off a lot in the new trailer. But speaking as someone who hasn't beat the first original Doom remake or played Doom Eternal, I'm still very hyped.
And this is the fucking guy who like hyped me up to get the original Doom because about some like soundtrack bullshit, and then I bought it for you, and then you never played it because you're a fuck.
Yeah,
you're a fuck.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. I'm sort of something. I'm sort of something about fuck myself. So maybe it's time. I think it's about time to go back to those. I want to talk about the Summer Game Fest stream because that's the one that I watched, and I watched it almost in real time until the puppy had to go out, and then I had to play with him outside, and he pissed everywhere, as puppies do. I am excited for Sparking Zero. We finally have a release date for that shit, and
right before your birthday.
Right before your birthday.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so we both have shit coming out before our birthdays. The collector's edition, hot take, I think looks like total ass garbage. Who in their right mind is actually going to use a metallic bookmark? And who plays the Dragon Ball Super card game that's going to use those cards that you get? And the Steelbook, I think, doesn't look nearly as good as the official art with everyone on it. And the regular art for the collector's edition on the regular case is just UI Goku and not the... All I'm saying is, if you don't have room for a big-ass Broly and Ultra Instinct Goku statue, and you don't want to shell out $250 for a bookmark, just get the regular version. And it comes with all the DLC and the whatever. You know what hyped me? Was seeing that they're going to add Dragon Ball Daima characters to Sparking Zero. Like, they already have plans to include Daima characters, and then Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 are going to be DLC, which kind of sucks because you would expect them to be part of the base game. But whatever, man. We're already getting like 80-something, 90 characters in this shit.
A fucking million characters. Deal with it.
Each transformation is their own character.
That's crazy. I have fighters, like the Fighter Z game. Yeah. Which I touched a little bit, but yeah, I've not played any of these other games.
No, the Budokai games, they're a different beast. Well, because they're the original Budokai, which is sort of like a 2.5 a 2.5D fighter, which is like it's horizontal, but you can move like up and down the space, like Virtua Fighter. And then the Budokai Tenkaichi games are more like arena fighters, and a lot of the 3D Dragon Ball games ended up looking like this, where you're like flying and you're in like a full circle and people dash at you and you can dodge behind them and then they dodge behind you and there's beam struggles, and it's going to be fucking awesome. And apparently multiplayer, it looks like there's going to be couch multiplayer, like local multiplayer and multiplayer that supports 8 players. So people are thinking there's going to be like a Tournament of Power style mode where it's just a free-for-all with 8 people fighting each other. And that shit's going to be crazy. And fusions and the graphics and the voice lines and the what-if scenarios. Apparently, I don't know if they're redoing the story mode or if they're replacing it with a what-if series. But in the trailer that they just released, there's an option where when you go to fight Raditz at the very beginning of Dragon Ball Z, there's a choice you can make where you go alone as Goku and then Krillin follows you. And then there's a what if where Krillin gets killed by Vegeta when he goes Great Ape, and that's when Goku goes Super Saiyan. Then there's another one where Trunks doesn't get killed by Cell, so during the Cell games, Trunks and Vegeta do a father-son Big Bang attack. And it's going to be fucking sick. It's going to be awesome. Me, Persona nerd, I'm excited for Metaphor, which is just Persona, but if it were like a D&D game. And there's no romancing of party members, which, listen, man, if you're taking the horny out of Persona, I'm sure people will still try to find a way to make it horny. But it is going to be kind of refreshing not having to worry about maintaining my relationships in a Persona game. Yeah. And then there's one more thing that comes out on October 11th, and I can't remember game-wise, that I'm genuinely excited for. But
I'm genuinely excited for the Astrobot game. That looks fun.
Oh, yeah.
Astrobot was a lot of fun. So
yeah, I was just thinking about that this morning.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, there's a Lego Horizon Zero Dawn game coming out. Just like, I liked Horizon Zero Dawn. I did not play Forbidden West. Yeah, and as always, there's just a bunch of random trailers thrown in there. There's a Sun Wukong game coming out, which I think looks pretty cool. There's the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, Metal Gear Solid Delta, coming out. Oh, come on, man. There's another Life is Strange game coming out. There's an Alan Wake 2 DLC coming out.
Silent Hill 2's coming out.
Yeah, Silent Hill 2 remake. That's going to be fun. Very scary. And I'm just listing off bullet points at this bullet point in time. But
that's it. All I care about is Gears. That's all I fucking want.
Yeah.
Everything else is just bonus content.
Well, I'm also stoked for Gears, especially if there's going to be co-op story, which it sounds like there's going to be, based on the fact that they're trying to directly appeal to fans of the original 3.
Yep.
So we'll see you guys in October when we're both that much closer to 30 and still playing video games. Fuck you guys. I'm going to be playing video games the rest of my life. I'm going to be 65 years old in my room playing Nintendo Switch alone. Maybe a cat sitting next to me while I play video games and jam out. And it's going to be awesome. And then the world is going to explode the next year after that. So
playing the Nintendo Wii 5.
You think they're going to go back to the Wii? And they're going to make 2 more?
No, I don't think so.
No. Well, whatever he says. Yeah, look that up. Look that up for us.
I was looking. I'm moving out. I'm leaving this place. I don't know if you saw that, but I got into a confrontation with the cocksucker upstairs.
Yeah.
So I need to leave before I
that.
fucking kill him. So
you might not see this room for the podcast.
And it's only like 2 miles away from here. So.
Oh, you found a place? Like legit?
Yeah. Yeah, it's another condo.
Ah.
Look at that. We're on the top and the floors don't creak. So.
Fuck yeah.
Paradise. And it looks nice, but I got to repaint a room because one of the rooms is like purple. I don't know why it's purple, but yeah, I got to fix that.
What do you have against purple?
I don't want a purple room.
What's wrong with purple? That doesn't answer my question.
Not for a man.
It can be.
It can be, but not for me.
Not for this man. Not for David.
Anyway, we're gonna start talking about my shit.
We're just gonna jump right into it. So we're gonna stop talking about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero,
and start talking about Dragon Ball Super Broly, which
David's
the fuck. And there goes the car. You know what? Fuck the car.
Hey,
it's a stupid ass car.
Hold on, we didn't.
Nobody
even talk
cares
about
it.
Hey, it's Italian.
It's a brand that no one ever even heard of.
Hold on. I mean, people might recognize. It is a 2016 Alfa Romeo Giulia, aka Alfa Romeo Giulia. So
yeah, that, and it's fallen about 4 times now. So frankly,
maybe
throw
5.
it into the dump.
I'm holding that.
Throw it into the dump. Today's featured presentation is going to be my favorite anime movie, Dragon Ball Super Broly.
Dragon Ball Super Broly,
which you might know is the first Dragon Ball thing I watched.
Yeah, and it followed a conversation that we had where you were curious about Dragon Ball because myself and a lot of our friends,
everybody
likes Dragon Ball.
Likes it.
And when you asked what the best way to get into the series would be, I had recently seen Dragon Ball Super Broly, and I thought, you know what? It explains where Goku comes from. It kind of establishes the humor that Dragon Ball is known for. It establishes the action. It has all of the best parts about what makes Dragon Ball, specifically Dragon Ball Z. And so that's what we watched. And I'm going to let you explain
And it kicked ass.
Your first literally kicked ass for like 45 minutes. The second half of the movie is just the fight.
Yeah, the first time I didn't even realize how long the fight was until the second time I watched it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is half the movie. Because a lot of shit happens.
That is not odd for a Dragon Ball Z movie, by the way. Most of them are at least 60% fighting, but just like Godzilla movies, if you're watching a Dragon Ball Z movie, chances are you're not going to give a shit about the stuff that happens around the fight.
But that's the thing. I did
this
give
movie,
a shit because the story is actually good.
The story is actually the way that Toriyama, rest in peace, Akira Toriyama, but the way that he reworked Broly and reworked Bardock's story about raising Goku and reworked the destruction of Planet Vegeta, it just works so well, and it feels like a legit movie. And the score, by the way, I don't think people talk about the score as much when it comes to this movie, but I'm specifically thinking about the score that happens when Planet Vegeta does get blown up. It's kind of beautiful, and I remember the first time I watched it, I teared up a little bit. Because, like, I know what happens. I know everyone knows about Frieza blowing up Planet Vegeta, but just the way that it got reworked after so many drafts, after so many what-if stories in the games, after so many anime episodes or movies that talk about the destruction of Planet Vegeta, to finally see it done this way, it was just magical. It was just a sweet little entire genocide of a people. So...
Yeah.
But yeah, so you had zero experience with Dragon Ball before seeing it.
I wouldn't say zero. Josh has shown me I don't know how many countless clips and shit.
Oh, of like Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and
over the years.
Yeah.
Namely Krillin blowing up. Which, yeah, I remember seeing some comment about like how crazy it is how Dragon Ball is like people start with Z and just completely like bypass the original.
Yeah.
Which, if you watch the original first and then that scene happens, it's way more impactful.
It really is.
Because, like, you know, when I watched Kai for the first time, it was like, okay, well, Krillin blows up, whatever.
Yeah.
But then you watch the original, it's like, oh, yeah, they go through a lot. And
yeah.
Then,
that is Goku's best friend.
Yeah.
That is, like, Goku's childhood best friend. And granted, Krillin dies in the original Dragon Ball 2, but it's also... Did you get that far?
I know he does, but
Okay.
I didn't see it yet, no.
Okay. It does happen way later in the original Dragon. Like, you have to remember when the manga was coming out and when subsequently the anime was coming out week to week, every big thing that happens in Dragon Ball Z, I only wish that I could go back in time and watch it in real time. Because at our age, we had everything already recorded and released and all this stuff so we could binge all of the DVDs and VHSs or like look up whatever clips we wanted to on YouTube. But yeah, so Krillin blowing up is such a big moment. And whenever I hear Goku, again, in the Sparking Zero trailer, there's a moment where you hear Sean Schemmel as Goku scream, you know, the line about Krillin. He's like, "Are you talking about Krillin? Don't you dare!" And it's just like, every time I hear that shit, it gets me so hype. But speaking of hype, we got to go back to Broly. I can't get side. I'm sorry. This is your episode. I don't mean to get so sidetracked.
But yeah, I liked how Broly was an actual character. Because, I watched the original Broly, and he just sucks. He fucking sucks, dude. All he does is just scream Kakarot the entire time.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, it's just better in every way. And yeah, man, it's, like I said, it's a good story. You know, Daddy is mad at the
Daddy's
king
Maddies.
because he was like, "Oh, your son's stronger than mine. Get the fuck out of here." And he's like, "I'll show you." And Frieza shows up and he's like, "Oh, let me manipulate you into my whole thing." And then he kills him. And then a lot of transformations and yelling. You know, like Goku and Vegeta fight base Broly, and then Frieza fights, or Broly kicks the shit out of Frieza
for half an hour. No, for an hour and a half, because Goku and Vegeta mess up the fusion twice, and they have to wait half an hour for each fusion to end. So Frieza gets his ass whooped by Broly for an hour and a half.
Yeah, we see the God forms fight him. We see the Super Saiyan God forms fight him. Broly changes like fucking 4 times.
Yeah.
He keeps screaming, and like Gogeta shows up. He goes base, and then Super Saiyan, and then fucking blue.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit.
There's a lot of shit.
And it's all very hype, and especially hype because this is one dude. Our Dokkan Battle game has some fire soundtracks, and some dude put like the Gogeta theme on top of like a lot of the fight scenes, and it's like somehow even more hype.
Yeah,
and it's just like, it's very fun. It's very short, but a lot happens.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with Dragon Ball Z as in its current state, if you're not familiar with all of the stuff that comes out around Dragon Ball that gets people hype, I still stand by this being, if you only have an afternoon or an evening or whatever, this is probably the best way to kind of get introduced to what the series has to offer. Because it has emotional character moments. It has humor in the way that Dragon Ball can be funny. It has top-notch voice acting in both the sub and the dub, whatever you choose to watch. It has great action. The animation is really beautiful in a lot of the scenes. And and it's short, and it's not like a 2-hour long, it's not Avatar 2. It's not the Dune movies. You don't have to be super invested in the lore if you don't want to. But yeah, and then you get to choose wherever you want to go after that. That's the beauty of Dragon Ball, is that there's so much to it that you can dive in wherever, whatever series. Original Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super. There's a new one, Dragon Ball Daima, coming out this year in the fall, I think. So we're going to get hype about that. And there's also Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, which is celebrating its 10th anniversary, or its 9th anniversary on Global in less than a month.
Who's going to have Broly?
These characters, Gogeta and Broly from this movie, are featured as part of the anniversary. So you bet your bottom dollar I'm going to be spending all my top dollars trying to get these fucking characters. But that's the story of my life.
It's later. But yeah. Good shit.
Yeah, watch Dragon Ball Super Broly. Inform your own opinion. Sorry, Carson.
It better be correct.
Steal your line. All right, so now we're going to go from one super metal hype type thing to another super metal hype type thing. This is... Well, I'm going to let you make the announcement. Can you see it? Can you see it, son?
Good enough.
Close enough. What are we talking about today?
Well, now we're getting into the big dog, big nuts of it all. Today we're talking about my number 2 favorite album of all time, which is, of course, Trivium's 2008 fourth record, Shogun.
Sorry, I don't know why I keep doing that.
And this, much like number 1, I discovered them around the same time. And way back, when I was still helping my mom work at this shitty ass like beauty salon, I had both these 2 albums on repeat like every single time.
Not out loud in the salon.
No, I had headphones.
But wouldn't that be something?
Because all I did was vacuum. Just vacuum the whole time. God.
This makes really good vacuuming music, by the way.
Yeah, and I had to like blast it because it was like not noise canceling headphones.
Oh, sure.
So I can still hear the vacuum unless I had it like max volume, which
Yeah.
I did, which is not good, but whatever.
You know, you live and learn.
It was like 10 years ago. It's fine.
Hanging on the edge of tomorrow.
I can still hear. Yeah. Yeah, my number 2 favorite album of all time is the Sonic Adventure 2 soundtrack.
Yep. Yeah, Shadows. Honestly, this does have Shadows color scheme.
Yeah, it does. No shit.
That's pretty cool. So let's talk about Trivium, because I feel like we might have talked about them before. We talked about In Ways before, and our experience as youngins with Trivium. But How did you...
Josh showed me Down from the Sky. It's the first Trivium song I ever heard. And I really liked everything except like the... I don't know what you call it. The pre-chorus? Where it's like... that's the one he screams, basically.
Yeah,
the screechy...
Yeah, I think people call... not heavy vocals, but like... Yeah, like heavies and cleans.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
You know what we're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that part, but I really like the verses. Those are pretty cool, especially with just the riding on the snare and the little accents on the kicks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just listened to Down from the Sky a bunch, and then I didn't like the screams, but they eventually grew on me, and at some point I just cleared the whole record, and pretty much every song, at least now, every song I hold at a very high regard. Because even like the first time I heard it, there's a couple songs like The Calamity and He Who Spawned the Furies and of Prometheus and the Crucifix, which I just wasn't super into. But Lord knows that changed now. The title track is possibly my favorite song of all time. I don't really know. It's hard to make that decision.
It's very hard to make that decision.
But it's definitely top 3, no doubt about it.
Damn.
And the chorus in the title track, which is the last song, has the same melody as the very first intro. Because the way the album starts with this like little acoustic thing.
Yeah.
That's the exact same vocal melody at the end. And that's really cool. Just great songs. Into the Mouth of Hell We March, another fire ass song.
I found out that was featured in a Madden game.
It was.
Yeah. I think I can't remember any of these songs except for maybe Down from the Sky. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay. Because this is an album that I always passed up when listening to Trivium, which is a shame because we've talked about this before. I'm very much also a fan of like, at least for a really long time, I was more of a fan of the clean vocals for a long time, and so my favorite album for a while was Silence in the Snow because it's mostly
but clean.
There are some like not heavy vocals, but there's some raspy like Foo Fighters-esque like rock vocals that are featured on it. But yeah, I always felt like Shogun was an album that was the opposite end of that spectrum, and there are some Trivium albums that exist kind of in between. Like I feel like In Waves is a pretty good in between album where it's got some really catchy, clean melodies and choruses, and it's got some really heavy vocals and breakdowns and shit like that. And I always just assumed Shogun was like all heavy shit. But
no, I mean, it's pretty much the same as a lot of them were.
Yeah.
It's like half and half at least. And like the fan base, most of the fan base like swear that this is their best record. Because it is the most progressive. It's the most prog metal Trivium album there is. Which, if you remember my last album, Parallax 2, that's the entire thing.
That's the whole thing is prog.
This is like the closest it gets to that territory.
Yeah.
And, I don't really know if it's necessarily the best at this point, but it'll always be my favorite.
Yeah. And I know we've mentioned this before, but the closer we get to our top everything has more to do with how these things impacted us when we listened to them or experienced them for the first time, and just the memories that we share with the times that we associate in our brains with experiencing these pieces of art. And so yeah, man, I mean, Shogun was an album that you listened to. If you have specific memories that tie to a piece of media, obviously I feel like it's going to have more impact for you.
Yep.
And
October 2012 when I first discovered it.
But still, every time I hear a Trivium song, I think about you guys. And so even if I don't have the same fondness for Shogun, and obviously I have to listen to it again and form a more informed opinion now that I'm a little bit older, and I actually like music like this a little bit more.
Older, wiser, and crustier.
So crusty. So every morning I wake up with crusties in my eyes. That bit wasn't supposed to get. I wasn't supposed to sing for as long as I did. I would love to give this album a try because I remember hearing one of my teachers actually in high school blasting the song Black from In Waves.
Damn.
Like out of the windows of his car as
That's
he was
cool.
driving away. And I was like, that shit's sick, dude. So as soon as I started driving, I would play Trivium like with my windows rolled down as I was rolling up to the school entrance. So yeah, it's just little shit like that always gets me hype and reminds me that like, yeah, I still have memories of my own about albums and games and movies that are close to the top of your list too. The same thing as you with my list, because I know last episode we talked about my stuff and you were like, damn, I played, I know every one of these.
Indeed.
And I was hoping that I did listen to this at some point and just forgot, and then talking about it would trigger some memories. But
It's like when you were talking about like you wish you were there in real time watching the Dragon Ball Z shit. I really wish I was there at the in real time when this fucking thing dropped.
2008.
Because the last album they put out was The Crusade, which people fucking hated because it was thrash metal.
Yeah.
And like, man, I can only imagine people's faces. I imagine it was very similar to when Sin in the Sentence came out because it's the same shit that happened.
Yeah. After Silence in the Snow and
Like
then
Vengeance Falls.
Oh,
or
yeah.
no, Vengeance was before that. Yeah, so after Silence, like very similar, where everyone hated it because it was no fucking heavy vocals.
It was a departure, and it was
Yeah.
it was a different sound.
And then you hear Kiersey Gomen, the fucking I'll take their fucking heads. I can only imagine people's erections just flying up.
Yeah. And then into the court of the dragon, I really fucking like, because I remember when that shit came out.
Yeah.
That was sick. Yeah, dude. I like Trivium. Fuck you guys. I know what I'm talking about. Kind of. I know what I'm talking about a little
It also
bit.
sounds awesome.
Yeah.
The way this thing is produced is damn near perfect.
It was recorded actually in Nashville, Tennessee, if you can believe.
Yep.
Dude, so many albums that I love were recorded in Nashville, which is crazy because when you think Nashville, you think country music, but all of these albums that were recorded in Tennessee are all like metal and rock and punk.
They talk about it in the documentary, like the making of.
Yeah.
And how one of the dudes made up a song, "My Dog, My Truck, My Woman," because he had like a really good country voice.
All staples.
That was Travis Smith, this was his last album. Oof. God rest his soul.
Did he die?
No.
Oh shit! I was gonna say, hopefully nothing that tragic.
No.
Yeah, the Sound Kitchen in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yep.
Released September 23rd, 2008. So, happy almost birthday to Shogun.
Indeed.
Well, we gotta move. I think we gotta
That's
move
it.
on.
Go listen to this goddamn thing.
Yeah,
Beats
go listen to Shogun and punch someone in the face. Maybe yourself. Maybe you punch yourself in the face. For not having listened to it sooner. You freakazoid.
Idiot. And this is where I would put my copy of Pokemon Emerald. If I had one. I do have it, but it's just the cartridge with no label on it.
Yeah, which happens a lot when you're buying Pokemon games, because hardly do we ever get to buy them new. Well, and like now you get to, but when they were still on cartridges for handheld systems, we were too young and we couldn't buy them ourselves.
And like the sticker one cost like $20 more. I said, fuck that.
Yeah, if you think Nintendo games in general are way too expensive after in their like resale days, like to buy a used copy of a Nintendo game, they're so expensive. Take that number, whatever number in your head, if you were to buy a copy of like Super Mario Sunshine, multiply that by 100,000, and that's the average price for a resale copy of a Pokemon game in its case with the booklet, with the sticker still on the cartridge. That shit. Those. Ooh, buddy. Yeah. That's not what we're talking about.
It's it's bad. So anyway, I'm not shilling out $300 for the fucking box.
No.
Fuck it. I don't care. I know what it looks like. Anyway, this is my favorite Pokemon game. It's crazy because we just talked about Sun last week.
Yeah, we did talk about Pokemon.
And well, you probably know I'm a Gen 3er, and this is the most. This is just, back in the day when they used to make these third games, they just take the other two games and just made them better.
Well, and granted, this was, I guess this is the third time they did it. So
Yellow was the best one,
Yeah.
Crystal was the best one, Emerald is the best one, Platinum is the best one, and then they stopped.
And then they stopped, and then they just started making sequels.
Yeah.
Except for X and Y.
Which,
Until now.
soon. But, basically, it's... I miss the sprite days, man. I really do miss the sprite days of Pokemon.
Yeah.
I just think the art style just looked so cool. And I really like it. I spend God only knows how many hours in the Battle Frontier. In that motherfucking Battle Pyramid. Oh my God, it takes so long to get through that.
Yeah.
That was my favorite one as a kid, but now I can't stand it.
Because what's the battle? Is that the rental one?
That's the one where it starts dark and you got to find the floor, and every battle it gets a little brighter.
Oh.
So you're just wandering in the dark aimlessly for like 7 floors, and to get to the fucking the leader, the pipe
brain
leader, you have to beat it 3 times in a row, and then for the gold one you got to beat it I think 7 times in a row. You got to clear that fucking thing 50 times in a row.
The Battle Frontier was.
And he comes out with fucking the 3 dogs or the 3 birds, whichever one was first, I don't know. And I couldn't beat him. The only ones I actually ever beat, on the Game Boy, was the Pike Queen, which was the Seviper.
Yeah.
And then
I forget her name.
The Battle Dome, where it was like tournament style.
Yeah.
Whatever his fucking name was. I beat those 2, but that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, So they tried to do the Battle Frontier in a couple of different games beyond Emerald, but Emerald was the one that kicked it off. And I never played Emerald. I played it a little bit when you let me your copy, but I never beat it. I did not grow up with Emerald. I played Sapphire, and that was kind of the extent of my Gen 3 journeys. So you were always the Emerald guy.
Right.
Growing up, you had the cool version of the game where the sprites moved, at least for a second before every battle.
Yep.
You had the ability to catch both Latios and Latias.
No,
well, you chose
one or the other.
Yeah, one or the other. You
get both Groudon and Kyogre in this one.
That's right. And they make it way easier to catch Rayquaza, right? I don't
know if it's easier, but
is it part of the story that you have to catch it?
No, you don't have to catch it. You just have to go find him.
Oh, okay.
Which, oh man, that cutscene, bro.
Yeah,
that fucking cutscene. I think it's the first cutscene.
Cinema,
or it was just really well done, and the theme, the organ that plays when you see Rayquaza from the back flying in.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was the first time in Pokemon history that you really felt the weight of these legendary creatures. Because before, I'd say in Gen 1, the legendary Pokemon weren't really a part of the story. They were cool secrets to stumble on.
No, you didn't need to find any of them.
No, and then in Gen 2, you had, the box art Pokemon, which I think they were part of the story, but only so far as, right before the last gym leader, some person walks up to you. I'm pretty sure because I always am more familiar with Heart Gold and Soul Silver than the original games, so I always fucking forget how you even... I don't think anyone tells you about Lugia or Ho-Oh in the original games. I think you just find out where they are, and then for Lugia you have to go to the Whirlpool Islands, and then for Ho-Oh you have to go to the bell tower, but like
this is the first Gen 3 was the first one where they're like
part of the story, and
The-
you have to encounter them. So in Sapphire and Ruby, obviously it was cool to get Groudon and Kyogre because they had their beef with each other, or no, they didn't. It was just
No, they did.
Oh, they did? Okay. Well, so I guess the difference was whatever version you had, that was the Pokemon that, like, won the beef, I suppose. And then they...
Yeah, Emerald was the only one where they actually, like, fought each other.
Yeah.
Because, in the Ruby and Sapphire, I don't even think
you don't see the other one. No, you just... That's what I'm saying. I don't think they have a beef in Ruby and Sapphire. I think it's just Team Magma or Team Aqua is like, hey, there's this legendary Pokemon that we're gonna exploit, and then you find them. And so like Pokemon Emerald was kind of like a crossover episode where like they finally got to meet in person, and then Rayquaza shows up to break it up. And there's so many good memes, dude.
What are those two simpletons doing? Don't you know I'm busy spoiling myself?
There's so many good Rayquaza memes. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's just Groudon being like, this fucking fish, and then Kyogre being like, I'm gonna fucking... And then Rayquaza coming down from literal heaven to be like, shut the fuck up!
Yeah, dude. It's so good.
It's really good. And Dude, side note, anytime I do that, like, quiet screaming voice, I feel like I'm in middle school again, where when you wanted to, like, do a bit where someone was screaming, but you were in, like, the lunchroom cafeteria and you couldn't actually scream. You just did this! And I was like, I feel so silly every time I do it because it's so juvenile in my brain, and it's never funny. But that's not the point. The point is just to talk about how hype we are about Pokemon.
And obviously it's back in the GBA days, so you have to deal with a lot of horse shit, like random encounters and the HMs.
Yeah. Sometimes if you put your Game Boy down the wrong way, it'll glitch out the game, and then you have to start back from whatever save file you had prior to that. Also, like, the brightness on these are more complaints about the Game Boy in general, but, like...
Game Boy sucks, dude.
It's the shit that we had to deal with, man. You kids that are growing up on Sword and Shield and you get to complain about the texture on trees. It's like, all right, well, have you ever lost your Game Boy in the backyard and then it gets buried by feet worth of snow because you were playing it outside and then you forget about it? So your mom gets you a new Game Boy, and then once the winter goes away and all the snow melts, you find the other Game Boy and it still fucking works. So you give it to your little sister because she wanted a Game Boy to play yours, and now she has one of her own, and now you have two Game Boy Advances. Does that ever happen to you?
Not exactly, but
Yeah,
just a lot of good times. I've met my friend Jason.
Yeah.
He was playing Ruby, but that's how I knew we were going to be friends for life.
Yeah.
Because that was the first one I got. I remember going into this because I liked Groudon. I liked because that's how you did it back in the day. You chose whichever one you liked more.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing Emerald on the thing, but I fucking took Ruby. I didn't know Emerald was like way better in every.
I mean,
conceivable
how were we
way.
to know? And there was no one around in our lives to tell us, like, no, get this one instead. Actually.
Yeah. So, it's just great. It's a fucking just great game.
Yeah.
I really liked your Battle Frontier. We obviously talked about how each one was like a different gimmick. The trick guy.
Oh yeah, in the trick house.
Yeah, that was fun. There was that whole thing. The soundtrack. Holy fucking shit, my ass. Dude.
Yeah, everyone loves the horns.
The trumpets. The trumpets are so good. Petalburg City. That is the way. I think that is the only way I'm ever gonna like cry in a concert or something. If I go see something where they're playing Pokemon songs and they bust out Petalburg City, I'm gonna lose my fucking shit.
Yeah, dude, they better have a Pokemon Symphony go around because I
or
think they've
SSN.
done that before.
SSN is a very good one too.
SSN is really good. Yeah, man. I always wish that I played Emerald, and now I'm at a point where I'm like, you know, I feel like there's so many ways to experience Gen 3 now, and I still have my Game Boy, but I haven't played it in forever. I think I would to play Emerald to get that again, but yeah, dude, those were the days playing Gen 3 on our Game Boys, like on the ride home from somewhere in the back seat, or like trading with each other, which I didn't get to do for a long time because I didn't have a link cable. But do you remember anything else that was different, like exclusive to Emerald, besides Wallace being the champion instead of Steven?
I think I don't know if the two different bikes were also in Ruby and Sapphire. How you can choose
The Mach and the A. It's something with an A.
Yeah, Arc.
The Arc and the Mach bike. Yeah, no, there were two bikes. So I remember you had to use both bikes in to find Rayquaza in those games, because you could find them, but they didn't. It was like Gen 2, where they don't tell you where to find Rayquaza. You just have to like figure it out yourself or buy the strategy guide.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I have the Emerald strategy guide. I don't know where I got it from, but it's just a little guy. It's not like a big whole thing, but I still have it, and I should have brought it today. Yeah. Next time. I'll bring it next time, and then we'll retroactively be like, yeah, this is what it's supposed to be in the last episode.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, it's
a lot of the end game stuff. Because
Yeah.
in Ruby and Set, whatever, because either Groudon droughts or Kyogre makes it rain.
Yeah.
And in Emerald, it just keeps flipping between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just a lot of the stuff at the end is really where most of the changes.
And I feel like, because we're getting so many remakes these days, and we're getting so many games where it's like expanded versions of the original, and, you know, case in point, because I'm playing Persona 5 right now instead of Persona 5 Royal, which everyone is like, oh, that's the better version. All of the shit, most of the shit that's new to Persona 5 Royal, that isn't just quality of life stuff that they improved on throughout the game, like they added more dialogue and cutscenes, it's all at the end. So it's like, am I really going to go back and play this, 40 plus hour game in the case of Pokemon Emerald? Am I really going to go back and play this game just to experience all the shit at the end?
Hell yes. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, which I guess it's more a question of how long has it been since you've played a Gen 3 game, and I feel like then it's easier to justify, like, no, yeah, I'll play Emerald. It's been a while. So if you've never played a Gen 3 Pokemon game, and Gami Gang, and I'm looking at you guys, I'm looking at y'all. Yeah, you should just play them, because they're really good, and you can't go wrong picking anyone. But if you have a choice, pick Emerald.
Always go with the third one.
It's just always go with the third. There's always new stuff.
So why would you ever play the originals ever again? I don't get it, at least.
Yeah, it's not a competition. I'm starting to run out of steam, man. I don't know what's going on.
Well, good thing that's the end of the episode.
It's the end? Whoa! Well, we're going to go back to doing whatever it is we were doing before this. Which I think was never talking to each other, because we're actually only friends on this podcast, and we never actually hang out. I only met this guy 2 years ago when we did the first episode, and we made up our childhood backstory, and
the whole thing is a fib.
The whole thing's a fib. I was gonna wait until episode 50 to do a big reveal, but I don't even think we're gonna make it that far. I fucking hate this guy.
Oh. Professor Birch gets chased by a Zigzagoon
instead of a Poochyena.
Yeah, in Emerald. I don't know why they changed that, but they did.
I think they needed to put something really early on to make kids realize that this was going to be a little bit slightly different.
Well, they made their hats green.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, there's a little bit of green. All right, so I guess there's more new stuff than
a little different
than we let on. So Yeah, dude, go play Emerald, go listen to Shogun, go watch Dragon Ball Super Broly, and you'll be a little bit more like David come this time tomorrow.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.